I've actually worked with some doctors in the past, engineers, and I think professionals who have that higher education level sometimes overthink stuff. We like to call it analysis paralysis. Always like you're never gonna find that perfect deal if while you're waiting, everyone else is just picking up these killer deals while you're waiting for this absolute perfect deal. I've learned that your brain, like the chemical reaction in your brain for fear and excitement, is the same thing. It's how you're gonna perceive it. You can either choose to be fearful or you can choose to be excited. It's that fight or flight thing. My advice is always just jump in, just get in there and fight and figure it out.
You are entering lifestyle dentist territory where healthy, wealthy, generous dentists choose to live epic lives on their terms with freedom and fulfillment. I'm your host, Dr. Garth Hatch. Buckle up for another exciting episode. Hello, lifestyle dentists. Very excited for this podcast. We have our realtor and real estate expert, Bryon OReilly, coming to us from the beautiful state of Montana. I'm jealous. That's a gorgeous area. A lot of good outdoors and fly fishing and everything else. And Bryon has his own real estate brokerage firm. He is an investor himself, so small business owner, real estate investor, and just an overall great guy. He is fit. He lives a high charging but also healthy lifestyle, and we're just going to dive deep into all areas of life and real estate and enjoy the podcast on the Lifestyle Dentist. So welcome to the show, Bryon. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thanks, Garth. Thanks for the opportunity, bud. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, just so the audience can get to know you a little bit better, can you give us a little background about yourself? Who is Bryon OReilly?
Actually born and raised SoCal.
What part? What part?
Graduated from originally born in Huntington Beach, grew up in Riverside, and then our last 10 years down there, we were up in Yucaipa, Oakland area,
You're kidding me. What high school did you go to?
Poly High School.
That's right. That's right. I
Yes.
think we talked about that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to La Sierra High School in Riverside. I'm older. You're a young buck. So yeah, unfortunately, I was probably several years ahead. But yeah, I went to La Sierra High School. I know right where I dated a girl from Cal Poly. So yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
know where you're talking about. And yeah, that's awesome. Small world, man.
It is, yeah, and it's funny, like, you say 6 degrees of separation, man, it's usually, like, 2 or 3 once you,
Yeah,
like, dive in, so
it's so true.
but yeah, born and raised down there, graduated school, college in '07, and, my brother had been doing real estate appraisals at the time. When I graduated college, I had a family that I really respected. They had a lot of free time, and I always admired that. So, pretty much right after I graduated college, I said, "Hey, Steve, Luann, let's get together for dinner. Let's show me your blueprint on how you've created this lifestyle." Had dinner at their house 5 or 6 hours later and about 20 pages of notes. So their hustle was that she was a realtor, he was a GC. They would buy properties, they would keep them as rentals or flip them, and they just built up this wealth through real estate. So I left that dinner meetup not knowing what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something in real estate and just kind of follow the model that they had created. Literally not more than a couple weeks after that, my brother had been doing real estate appraisals. He got to the point where he was licensed and could go out on his own. So he came to me and said, "Hey, do you mind analyzing this? See if it's something I can do. Like, is it worth doing?" So I looked into the industry, and at that point, this was back in '05, '06. Like 70% of the licensed appraisers in California were over the age of 60. I was like, that can't be right. So I actually called the state to verify, and he's like, "Oh, no, no, that's wrong. It's probably closer to like 73 or 74%." And I was like, holy
Wow,
smokes.
that's
So it
crazy.
was it was such a baby boomer industry that I thought, I don't know anything about appraisals. I don't know anything about real estate, but it seemed like such an opportunity. Called my brother the next day. We met for lunch. I said, "Hey, I think this is a great idea, and I think we should do it together." And here we are 18, 19 years later, still plugging away with the appraisal business. So
That's awesome. That's so cool. So saw the need, dove in. Yes, first had a good example, kind of your rich dad advisor type thing. That you saw his lifestyle and love the free time, everything else, and good for you for going to talk to him. I think that's
yeah.
I encourage that to anybody, to friends, to my kids, to anybody. If kind of begin with the end in mind, and if there's something you want, try to find somebody who's already doing it and learn from them. Don't feel like you got to figure out the game yourself, but really harness good mentors, good advisors, good coaches to try and see where to go. and then also saw that opportunity in appraising. And that's a talk about a
Yeah.
crazy window too, that good and bad. I mean, real estate was on fire in '05, '06, and then we all know what happened in
And then we was
2008. Yeah. So keep going.
yeah, so we kept plugging along. Yeah, everyone knows what happened in 08, 09. We actually both went back to work. I was working at a grocery store, so we would do that in the morning and appraise at night or vice versa. And then after 8, 9, 10, stuff started to swing. They had this thing called the Frank Dodd Act and the HVCC, which a lot of the and this was even a more barrier of entry for us. They changed like the requirements for licensing, and then all the old school gentlemen had to change their forms, they had to change their practice. So a lot of the guys who were still in it, that was like the straw that broke their back. So our industry got cut in half in like '09 or '10 for appraisals. So it was literally just perfect timing for the appraisal business to be launched when we launched it. And we were young. We'd go to like our CE courses in person. We'd be 25, 26, and we're in a room full of like 50 men and they're all in their 70s, you know. So doing that in person just kind of solidified that we made the right decision.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so from that, we just kept growing our business. So after a couple years, we were giving so many referrals away to agents. Said, hey, why don't we just get our license? So we started a real estate company. After that, you know, the fix and flips were kind of getting big, and I saw people making money on fix and flips, so we started a business doing fix and flips. And almost around that
Just
same
real quick, was it
time,
still in SoCal at the time?
this is all in SoCal, yeah. So we were
Right.
focusing like Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange County, San Diego. So, and then after that, we realized like, hey, we don't have anyone putting money in a 401k for us. We don't have any type of retirement. So we actually started buying and holding rentals at that point too. So we did that pretty much all the way up just before COVID. We kind of had the mindset to kind of start transitioning out of California, gave us a little bit of a time frame, and then COVID happened on St. Patty's Day. They shut us down in SoCal, and pretty much immediately after that, we had our house listed in April 10th, and we'd hit the road. We were up in Montana, June of that year. So just picked up, left for a fresh start, and came up here and kind of reinvented what we were doing.
That's awesome. That way to take the bull by the horns too. That was, I'm sure, a big move, a big step. What drove you to Montana?
Actually, the wife and the kids. So it was hard for me to accept the fact to move. Like I was on the fence about it. I was teetering, you know, because we had built our business up at that point. I'd had all the businesses for about 12, 13 years. My wife, she's a stay-at-home mother. We homeschool our daughters. So I had to move to a market to where I could really jump in and start making income right away. So once I kind of go over the decision to move, I was more so focusing in the Idaho, like Boise, Nampa, areas of Utah, because they had a market. You know, they had
Uh-huh.
population. My wife's cursor on Zillow wandered up to Montana, and she's like, hey, this is a great spot. We had never seen it. We'd never been up here. I started looking at the population at that point. It was like 50,000 people. I was like, man, this is going to be really hard to go up there and work. So she was sending offers, and I got home one day and she said, hey, they accepted our offer. And I was like, cool, where are we going? She said, Montana. And I was like, yep.
Let's do
So,
it.
but it was beautiful. You know, there's always like these hidden blessings in life. And I think that was one of them. And just even on the trip up, it was so like, I just had this sense of calm come over me. And I explained to everyone too, like when you come into where we live, like we hit Flathead Lake. Flathead Lake is huge. Like you can drive along it for an hour and not drive the whole thing. So you come into the south part of the lake in a city called Polson. You kind of come up over this crest. And we were driving up here. It was probably about 9:30 on a summer night, which anyone who's been in Montana in the summer, like our sun sets at 11, which was really strange for us to be driving at that time. But we came up over the crest in Polson, and I just saw this vast lake, and the sun was hitting the water, and the mountains were purple. And I just was like, all right, we're home. Like this
This is
is the
it.
perfect. Yeah, like something bigger than us led us here, I felt like.
Yeah,
So,
that's so cool. No, I'm sure it did. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, the God is always in the details. So yeah, no, that's so cool, man. That is
yes.
awesome.
And then, yeah, so the last 5.5 years just kind of been pouring into the community, just trying to reinvent what we do here. So I started my appraisal business right away. Shortly after that, started a real estate team. and then started diving into lending. But the whole time I've been, expanding our rental portfolio too. So when we left California, well, actually, just before we left California, I started dabbling in other markets. We had 19 doors at that point, and then
Mhm,
from that point to now, we had expanded up to 89 doors,
mhm,
just from using the 1031 exchange. Just finding different opportunities in different markets. Yeah, reinventing ourselves here, and then just kind of pouring fuel on what we were doing as far as the buy and holds.
mhm. Good for you, that's awesome. Well, that's cool too. I've heard don't start a business more than like, one step away from what you're already doing, meaning don't be a dentist and then start a Subway franchise or something like that, I mean, it's
Yeah,
too much of a jump, but going from appraisal to a brokerage where you're already getting, essentially creating your own clients, through the appraisal business, and to now, what was the 3rd one?
I
The
do
lending,
lending.
lending, yes,
Yeah,
lending, which, yeah, if you're selling homes and go, "And by the way, yeah, I can provide you a loan on your property as well," so that is cool.
yeah.
Which of those 3 now would you say is your primary, or does it just depends on the day, depend on the year? How's that going?
I would say probably 60% of my workflow is appraisal, 40% is real estate, and then I maybe do a handful of lending deals every year.
Got it, got it. No, that is good, that is good. On the appraisal side, if you are selling, like, what are some things that a buyer or, to know from a buyer standpoint and a seller standpoint, what are some levers to pull? Say, I guess if you're on the selling side first, what are some things, and I guess it would be pretty much the opposite if you're buying, like I know if I'm buying a deal and the landscaping looks like crap, there's overgrown bushes and grass and needs a paint job, I'm like, awesome, because those are easy fixes, that's going to really improve the curb appeal and make it worth more once I buy it at a discount. But I'm sure there's other things like that on both ends. Like, what would you say, if I guess first from the seller standpoint, if you want to maximize the value of your home when you're selling, what are some things you should do?
I would never actually recommend any kind of improvements, like a whole bathroom or kitchen upgrade. You're never going to get like a dollar for dollar market extraction out of what you put into it. You may help the marketability, but I learned firsthand. So we had dumped a small fortune into a kitchen remodel before we moved. And we literally finished it maybe 6 or 7 months before COVID and the move happened. And when we were showing our homes, everyone loved the house, but we had two couples who came through and they're like, we absolutely love the house. We may make an offer, but we're going to have to redo this whole kitchen. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, okay. So everyone's got their own personal preference.
Yeah,
So if I could offer any advice to someone, from a seller standpoint, it would be just to keep it as it is, and price it appropriately for what it is, and let the next buyer come in and have that blank canvas rather than already have this painting on the wall, have this blank canvas where they can make it their own.
that makes sense.
So
That does make sense.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. And as far as with appraisal, if you're on the other side, you're an investor, what are some things you look for when you're buying an investment property? I mean, I guess it could be, let's start with residential first. You're buying a rental that you're gonna buy in a residential area. What are some things you like to look for as a buyer?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. Buy and hold. Honestly, I always look for the opportunity. Is it a probate where maybe the family's out of state and when I buy real estate, I'm not necessarily buying a home or a property. I'm buying someone else's problem or someone else's headache. So I'm taking on their headache. So really the transaction, yes, I'm getting a house, but I'm also alleviating, someone of a problem that they no longer want. So that's the first opportunity I look for. If you're getting down into like the weeds of it, try to find, the diamond in the rough, like the crappiest home and the nicest location, the ones with the most deferred maintenance. We even go back to our old school tactics. We call it, well, you're probably familiar, it's called driving for dollars.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
have an appraisal appointment, sometimes I'll get to a job 15, 20 minutes early and I'll just cruise the neighborhood and write down addresses of homes that you can see the lawn hasn't been mowed for the year, or like something's fallen off. So it's just recognizing opportunity within the markets, is what I would say.
That makes sense. I would think in Montana too, there's probably a lot of out of state landlords, huh? That, or at least that's their second home or maybe a rental or something like that. Do you see that quite a bit where you're at?
It's becoming more and more prevalent, yeah, and there's little pockets within our market. So where I'm at in Kalispell, it's not a huge out of area, but when you get up to like the vacation spots like Whitefish, they got a big ski resort up there. If you get up to an area called Columbia Falls, it's 10 minutes from the entrance of Glacier National Park. You will see a lot of people who are buying properties more as an investment for short-term rentals, or they're buying it as a supplement. So they'll come out and they'll use it 2 or 3 weeks a year, and then they'll short-term rent it just to kind of break even on it. So you do see a lot of that in the more attractive areas for like the vacation spots.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Another question on the lending side. I know interest rates are always a big deal with real estate and investing and really the economy in general. And there's been a lot of shakiness in the last year. We had a big election. We had the big beautiful bill that came through, and then now with the tariffs. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the air. Some things are doing great, best ever, and other things are a little shaky. I mean, I know as far as like with the government shutdown and jobs and things like that, there's some uneasiness in the economy and more layoffs and things like that. What do you think? Pull out Brian's crystal ball. What do you see as far as with interest rates? I mean, I guess where are we at now, and then what would you anticipate things are going to look like in the next 12 to 18 months? And I know, and I,
I
and I won't hold you to it. I know it's a guess like anybody.
No, and I'm big on studying the numbers. I like getting into the weeds and kind of doing my own research. So I follow the CPI, all the numbers that would kind of give you the advice or like the knowledge to move forward. But the Fed's already said they're going to do three. Well, they're already speculating three more cuts before March. We got another 25-point basis cut yesterday, and I would almost anticipate one of those next cuts maybe being a 50 basis point. So come March of next year, April, we may be a whole point less on the Fed Reserve. What I advise my clients to do, I hate the saying marry the house, date the rate, but it makes sense now because if you could buy a house today and in 6, 7 months lower your interest rate by a point, it's incredible. And also just the coaching through that. When buyers go to purchase a home, they're not necessarily saying I can afford a $500,000 house. They're saying we can afford a $3,000 a month mortgage. So as those rates come down and down and down, their purchase power goes up and up and up. So you may be able to buy that same house today at 500, but come March or April, that same house may be 550, 575 because of the market's purchase power to purchase that house. Our advice to everyone we're dealing with is buy now, buy now, buy now, and then just refinance, in the next 6, 7 months, or even if it doesn't happen, it's going to happen within the next 12 to 18. It's just how quick and how low.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. If a dentist came and talked to you, Brian, they've never really invested in real estate. They own their home and maybe they own their dental practice building, but other than that, that's it. But they would like to try and build up some passive income outside their practice, get some cash flow. What would be your advice for them to get started?
Just to do it, man. you know, I've never been afraid to invest in real estate. Yeah, I've actually worked with some doctors in the past, engineers, and I think professionals who have that higher education level sometimes overthink stuff. We like to call it analysis paralysis. So everything has to be absolutely perfect, and everything has to just be aligned for all their buy boxes checked. So I'm always like, you're never gonna find that perfect deal, and if while you're waiting, everyone else is just picking up these killer deals while you're waiting for this absolute perfect deal. So my advice is just to jump in. Like I've bought and sold personally probably 45 to 50 properties in my life. And not once can I look back and say, I regret buying that property. Because even the dogs I bought that didn't do well, I still cash flowed while I had it. 9 times out of 10, you still sell it for more than what you got it for.
Mhm.
Real estate goes like this. You're going to have your peaks and valleys, but it's always going to go up.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's don't overthink it. Like I said, the analysis paralysis, just get comfortable being uncomfortable and just move forward with
Yeah, no, just get started. I couldn't agree more.
it. Yeah.
And you said cash flow, and I 100% agree with that. For me, that's my criteria. If I can cash flow it today, like right when I buy it, I'm good to go because that's been my steady. as far as properties that would cash flow, even in good markets, bad markets. I mean, we started investing in 2003 with my first, I got out of dental school, bought my first house that we then moved a year later and kept the house as a rental, and bought it for 98,000 in Columbia, South Carolina. And I was
Nice.
scared to death to buy that. I'm like, $98,000. I look back and like, man, what a deal. But
Yeah.
it's true. As long as it will cash flow, you can hold it in downturns. Like in 2008, 2009, it was kind of wild how property values were going down. I mean, she's Southern California, especially. You saw 20-40% drops in some areas. It was just crazy. And yet the monthly rental number stayed pretty similar. In fact, some areas rents actually went up because more people had to rent than were available as far as rental units. So the rents sometimes even increased. So if you can rent it, then you can weather bad storms. But as long as there's inflation and as long as the Fed keeps printing money, which I don't see any stop to that anytime soon, for better or worse, I just see that as a good hedge for inflation, because
But yeah.
you have to do something with the money. I mean, if you stick it in a savings account, you are losing money every single year, guaranteed,
Mhm.
because you're making 0.0 nothing and you're dealing with at least 2 to 3% inflation, and that's probably underestimated because the a lot of these reports, they take out all these things that really people feel, take out the cost of energy or things like that. Well, that's a big deal. And so you want to have some sort of assets that will go up with inflation, and real estate is one that holds its value, that will go up. So in my opinion,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it.
Yeah. And as far as the shifting markets, as a buy and hold investor, I've never cared about whether the market dips or not. Your three basic needs are food, water, shelter. So as long as people need a place to live, you're going to be comfortable. And even going further deep into that, like the net worth, I couldn't tell you what my net worth or what my value is on the properties because I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's not my scoreboard. I can tell you to the dollar what my cash flow is every month because
Mhm.
that's how I keep track of whether we're running a successful business or not. Like the net worth doesn't matter. It's what are we bringing in, what's going out, and how are we allocating this moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, that's another powerful point that you made. I totally agree on that too. Yeah, that net worth, it's a number, and there's people that may have a 20 or $30 million net worth, and it's all wrapped up in their business, and yet they could be broke. If they couldn't work, they could be broke in months or less.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody that has a net worth on paper much less than that, but they have steady income every month, whether they're working or not, that's, to me, is real wealth. Because really, if you're wealthy, in my opinion, you can continue to live indefinitely without working.
And I love the fact that you said wealth because when people talk about jobs or stuff, that's what will make you rich, but real estate will make you wealthy. Wealth is the gift that keeps giving. Like I've got three daughters, so I've got three weddings to pay for, three colleges tuition. So I haven't put a single dollar away in any account for like college tuition because all I do when the kids decide where they want to go and what they want to study, I'll just do a cash out refi. And here you go, sweetie.
Mhm,
Go learn what
mhm,
you want to learn. So there's so many hidden advantages of owning real estate, like the availability of the equity and then just the tax benefits of it, especially for someone like yourself or, someone who's got high income, you can offset a lot of your taxes with real estate.
mhm, mhm.
I had a mentor tell me once, he said, it's not what you make, it's what you keep,
Yeah,
you know, and
so
that's
true.
that's the trick to life. It's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I 100% agree, especially as service professionals, as dentists, doctors, attorneys, CPAs. Our biggest expense by far for most professionals is taxes,
Yeah.
and most of us are getting killed on taxes. And so if you can find a legal way to reduce that through investing in real estate. In fact, I just had Bryon on an earlier episode podcast on cost segregation studies, and he was talking about that, just the power of with bonus depreciation. Now we've got the 100% bonus depreciation, that with the new big beautiful bill, and then doing a cost seg study with that, how powerful that is. especially if you're a real estate, you say the spouse is considered a real estate professional, but even if not, if you could do a short-term rental, or you could buy your own dental building, or buy a second location as a dental building, that that's a huge write-off that you can take legally. If you got to follow the steps, you got to talk to your CPA or tax advisor to know exactly the steps to do. Make sure everything's done above board and you do it right. But if you do it right, these are tax incentives in the tax code that the government has put there for a reason, because they want people to invest in real estate and in businesses, jobs, providing homes, and you can be very well rewarded for doing that as an
Oh
investor.
yeah. Yeah, and cost seg, I mean, cost seg is level 6. I mean, even if you go down to, like, the base level of tax benefits, even the 1031, that's essentially what
Yeah.
the government is saying, "Hey, let's partner together. We're gonna allow you to sell this, buy that with no taxation at all," So there's just so many benefits in investing in real estate, as opposed to any other avenue of investments in my mind.
Mhm.
I don't do stocks, I don't do bonds, I've never looked at crypto. It's just I just stay focused on real estate because of what it does and what it creates.
You know your lane. Yeah, no, I totally hear that. Just when I have known you, Brian, very impressed with you, just your overall outlook on life. Like as you said, you've got three beautiful girls. You homeschool. You're very fit. We first connected in the gym at one of our conferences, a
Yeah.
mastermind that we're in. Uh, you know, looking yoked and just living right. When you look at your why and why you do what you do, what are some guiding principles that you look for in your life?
Mainly, it's just to provide that financial freedom for myself and my family through real estate, and it's kind of like a catch-22 right now. We're so busy, but, eventually someday real estate's going to allow us to buy time, and that's
Mhm,
an asset
mhm,
that you can never get back, so that's why you really have to focus on what's important to you and ultimately just that time with our family. And having kids, my oldest, she'll be 14 in a couple months, and it goes by so quick, man. So it hits you hard and it makes you want to just, get it done and grind it out and get
mhm,
living.
mhm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, I do think I was talking to my oldest son on this too. There's seasons to our lives, there is a time when you need to grind, when you need to put the time in. One very successful guy, actually, David Osborne in our mastermind talked
Mhm.
about doing 20 years worth of work in the first 10 years, where if you can really pedal to the metal, put the time in when you're young, when you're hungry, and really get ahead, make some gains in both your knowledge, your skill level, and just your work, to really get busy, to have a skill that is valuable, and then start investing as soon as you can. That by doing that, you can really set yourself up where you can benefit from that the rest of your life, where you don't have to work pedal to the metal all the time, that you can
Yeah.
live a fit life on your terms, take time off to spend with family, go on vacations, things like that. So yeah, no, that's a really good point. Go ahead.
And also just the legacy that you can leave when you're gone, like your
Mhm,
kids can keep reaping the benefits of your hard work for
mhm.
years and years and generations to go.
Yeah, no, that's so true. That's so true. I'm just curious with Montana. Tell me more about Montana and living there. What's it like? How is it growing? Is it stable? What's life like in Montana?
It's been an interesting 5.5 years, man. Personally, we landed a beautiful spot right along a lake here. We're on 4 acres, so slowly my kids have developed this farm life. It started. I hear the jokes that, oh, we should get a chicken, and then that chicken becomes five, and then it's 15. So now we have two Highlands, two horses, two goats, two sheeps, 27 chickens, bunnies. So the kids have pretty much created this farm. And it's great too, because it's good for them to learn responsibility. We've got one of our cows is a calf, so they have to go out and bottle feed it every morning. It's been really incredible just watching them learn and grow here. But as far as the valley, like when we got here, like I said, the population was maybe 50, 60,000 in an hour every direction. Since then, I mean, there's just been so much growth and so many people coming, which, I mean, it could be good and bad.
Yeah,
We have seen, you never see traffic anywhere here. Like we have
really.
our highways are actually streets with traffic lights. So we have this one highway that they call it the bypass that kind of diverts traffic around downtown. But yeah, it's such a small and cool, like quaint town, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of expanding out. But that's everywhere because I'll go back to SoCal and the amount of growth I've seen there. I go back there once a year, and every time I fly over, I'm like, my lord, like where are they build? Like who's filling these homes?
Yeah.
So I guess it's everywhere. It's just not here. It's just when we got here, it was so amazing, and now you see the growth, and it's kind of like y- you almost feel like you're a native here, and you're like, get off my lawn, kind of guy,
Yeah, right, right.
So yeah,
That's well, you're a man after my own heart. Because yeah, we live on 30 acres. We got hay and cherry orchard, mini cherry orchard trees and chickens, and we did have goats. Luckily, we don't have goats now. My third daughter, Corinne, or I say I've got two daughters. But my third child, Corinne, she really wanted a goat, and you can't just have one goat. You have to have at least two, which that becomes four, which
yeah.
becomes eight. And yeah, we're done with the goats. When she left, I'm like, all right, we're done with the goats.
So you've experienced the farm math.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just exponentially grows.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the chickens are the bomb. We still have chickens, and I love it. Yes, when egg prices were through the roof, or you couldn't buy them, like we're living the dream. Like have all the eggs we want, giving it to friends and neighbors, and it was like gold. Just having our own fresh eggs. So yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
been fun. Yeah, and
It's
you,
funny you say that. Yeah, our neighbors had approached us about the egg shortage, and we're like, what egg shortage? Like we
yeah,
didn't know because
right,
we've always getting 16 to 18 a day during the
right.
summer, and it's
Yeah,
never an issue. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's good living, and I think it's good for kids too. It just gives them something to do. They need to get off devices and do something real, whether that's farm life or sports or something. But yeah, just get them off electronics and doing something real. So that's cool.
yeah, my wife was a big proponent of that, and honestly, we've been here 5.5 years, and the kids have not watched TV once. So that if
Wow, that's
if
amazing.
they if they're bored, they paint or they draw or they read or they're outside. Yeah, so she's been really instrumental in having that culture within our home, and yeah, it's been pretty incredible.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm curious. You're young. You're fit. What's your take on health, on fitness? In any good protocols that you like, or recommendations or biohacks on health and fitness?
I'm a big believer in, like this is our temple, like you take care of it. I had friends growing up, they would have these nice cars and they're putting 91 octane in their cars and not buying the cheap stuff, but then they'll go to McDonald's and buy a Happy Meal. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, so your car's more valuable than the one body you'll have for your life.
Right, right,
So
right.
I've always been interested in just staying fit. I've always been big in sports, big in lifting. About 2.5 years ago, I did start doing blood work. And not that it's like a biohack, but I started researching and learning like if you're just taking supplements blindly, like everyone's body is different and needs different
Yeah,
things. So yeah, I did start getting blood work and I'd sit with my doctor and he's like, okay, you need this, you need that, you need to actually eat more salt, you need to do less of this. So the last 2 or 3 years has been pretty incredible. Like all my levels are up to the roof now just because learning the science of your body and not just kind of going at it blindly.
yeah. Oh, I couldn't
But
agree more. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, keep going.
yeah. And then I've always, when I do my goal setting every year, like I'm always pushing myself, not just for the physical aspect of it, but also for the mental. So I'm always like challenging myself. So this year I was training for an ultra marathon. Unfortunately, hurt my leg. I couldn't finish it. But a couple years ago, like I absolutely hated running. And my goal that year was to run a marathon. And it's like, why the hell would I do this? But it was not only for the physical benefit, but it was to have those breakthroughs that you set these limits in your mind or these ceilings, and to break through that is always incredible. And literally on the ride home from that marathon, I was thinking like, wow, like what can I do next? At the end, I was like, when you're training for, you're like, this is dumb. I'll never do this again. And then literally when I was done, I was like, what's my next Everest? What can I push myself? How can I go harder? How can I go further? How can I go longer? So yeah, I enjoy pushing myself in that aspect.
That's awesome. Well, two things that you hit. Yeah, I wanna double down on. One is the blood work. I completely agree. I recently did a functional medicine journey of my own in 2023, and it was life changing. And a big part of that was just getting the blood work done and then seeing the improvements. And it's your scorecard. If you don't know what's going on, you have no clue. You're just, flying blind. And there's a lot of things that you could make changes to now that you could feel totally fine, but you won't even know for 10 or 20 years before it's a problem. But if you can catch it now, it can be life changing. Whereas if it's 20 years down the road, it's usually too late. I mean, you can maybe improve it, but you may not be able to totally reverse it. So yeah, just knowing where
Yeah.
you're at, is very powerful. And then also having something to focus on, a goal or a fitness journey or whatever with your resistance training or gain muscle or doing a race or whatever. But yeah, I think it does help. uh, Men especially, we need a target. We need to go out and bring something, go kill an animal to bring back to feed the family type thing. We need to have a reason to wake up in the morning, and if we don't, then I think that's when problems happen. And so I
Oh
think it's
yeah.
with your fitness, if you can have a goal that keeps you motivated to do something and be that. People are like, what's the best workout? And I say, whatever you'll do, for one. I mean, I think there's some that are better than others, but the big thing is just doing something, even if it's just going to walk for 10 minutes. But you only have, as you said, only one temple, one body that you get for your whole life, and you want to take care of it. So yeah, no, that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, and the trick is tricking your mind to making it a lifestyle and not a fad. Like, it's not a
Hmm.
diet, it's not a fad. Like, this is my DNA now. This is who I am.
Hmm.
And once you kind of overcome that, like, you don't have trouble waking up in the morning to run to the gym just because that's the way you're wired now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've learned you can, I don't want to necessarily say trick yourself, but you can teach yourself to learn that habit and to have that drive within.
Yeah, I agree. Where you get to a point where you feel uncomfortable if you don't. You feel fidgety. You know something's missing. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a positive habit. Yeah, when you can create those kind of habits. And this has been awesome, Bryon. Thank you so much for coming on. Before
Yeah.
we finish, though, is there anything that I have not asked you that I should have?
No, I think we've kind of covered it all. Just going back to investing in real estate, if anyone ever has fear, I mean, everyone has that fear when they initially start. And actually, so I kind of go back to when we were moving up here. I've learned that your brain, like the chemical reaction in your brain for fear and excitement, is the same thing. It's how you're going to perceive it. You can either choose to be fearful or you can choose to be excited. It's that fight or flight thing. So my advice is always just jump in, just get in there and fight and figure it out. And jump out the plane. I have a saying with my team here. We are literally jumping out of the plane and we're building our parachute on the way down. Like, we're fearless. We've jumped and we will figure it out before we splat into the ground. Trust me.
Well, you literally did that. I mean, you're practicing what you preach. Literally, I respect that you and your wife just said, "Hey, we're moving to Montana, and we'll figure it out when we get there." So that's awesome, man. That
Well,
really
she
is.
said she said that, and then she told me. It was like, yeah. So,
She's
but
even more
but
fearless. I love that. She,
yeah, but
you
like
know,
I said, it's been an absolute blessing. So I'm never looking back.
that's awesome. Well, Bryon, thank you so much. It's been amazing. If somebody wants to get in contact with you or learn more about buying real estate in Montana or lending or anything else, where could they contact you?
Yeah, you can reach out. I have a website. It's BryonOReilly.com, and it's spelled BryonoReilly.com. I've got a Calendly link on there, so if you want to get on there and just schedule a call, or you can reach me on my email directly. It's Bryon, Bryon, at movingmontana.com.
Awesome. You're the man. Thanks, Bryon. Sure appreciate
Thanks,
that,
Garth.
man. And we'll put that
Not
in
a
the show
problem.
notes too. Yeah, everybody have a great day. Thanks so much. Take care.
Appreciate you, Garth. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you, Bryon.